You may have heard of Queen Elizabeth II, the powerful woman who reigned over Britain for more than 70 years, becoming a timeless symbol of stability and tradition. But do you know who succeeded her on the throne? And here's the remarkable part. He waited over 70 years, yes, 7 decades, to become king. A number so astonishing, it's almost hard to believe. His name is Charles III, the current king of the United Kingdom. But this isn't just a story about a king. It's a journey of patience, of silent strength, of carrying the weight of a crown long before wearing it. For years, he stood in the shadows, watched, listened, and waited. Faced with public doubt, hounded by controversy, challenged by tradition, yet through it all, he never wavered. This is the story of a man who waited a lifetime to fulfill a destiny written since birth. A story of duty, perseverance, and the courage to rise when the world least expected it. Charles was born in 1948, the first son of Princess Elizabeth, who would later become the legendary Queen Elizabeth II. At just 3 years old, after his mother's coronation in 1952, Charles officially became the heir to the British throne. From that moment, a royal destiny was set, for a boy far too young to grasp the weight of the crown he would one day wear. But Charles wasn't the typical prince the world expected. He wasn't cold, or distant, or strictly formal. He was sensitive, quiet, thoughtful. A boy who loved books, adored art, and felt a deep connection to nature. He studied at Britain's most prestigious schools, Hill House, then Gordonstown, a famously strict academy where he often struggled to belong. Later, he studied at Cambridge and even learned Welsh to better serve his future title, Prince of Wales. Beyond academics, he served his country in both the Royal Air Force and the Royal Navy. A rite of passage, but also a journey of discipline and honor. Still, no matter what he did or how hard he worked, Charles always lived in the immense shadow of his mother, a queen admired not just in Britain, but around the world. She was the queen. He was simply the prince. And so, he waited, year after year, decade after decade. As presidents came and went, as the world changed time and time again, he remained, quietly, patiently, waiting for destiny to finally call his name. More than 70 years passed, and Charles became the longest-serving heir apparent in the history of the British monarchy. During that time, the world changed at an astonishing pace. The Cold War ended, the internet was born, technology exploded, and other kings and queens came and went. Yet Charles remained just one thing: the prince, never a king. Some even called him the forgotten prince, or the king who never ruled. The media often mocked him, poking fun at his seemingly endless wait, a wait so long, it felt like an entire era unto itself. But throughout those years, Charles did not stand still. He quietly devoted himself to the environment, to architecture, to sustainable agriculture, and to the arts. From a very early stage, when the world barely paid attention to climate change, Charles raised his voice, boldly, passionately, in defense of nature. He founded charities. He promoted organic farming. He championed arts education. And he did something no royal had truly done before. He opened up to the media, faced the public, even when misunderstood, even when criticized. He did not hide. And yet, Charles's life was never a path paved with roses. Behind the title of prince, behind the ceremonies, the golden carriages, the flashing cameras, was a man carrying real wounds and scars that would take years to heal. His marriage to Princess Diana, once celebrated as a fairy tale for the modern age, seemed, at first, to promise lasting happiness. But slowly, painfully, the dream unraveled into a public tragedy, a bitter separation, a storm of headlines, a wave of heartbreak, not only for 2 individuals, but for an entire nation. When Diana died in that tragic car crash, the grief was overwhelming, and in the midst of that sorrow, many turned their pain into blame. All eyes fell on Charles. People pointed fingers. They said he had broken her heart. They said he was cold, distant, undeserving. In the public's eyes, he was no longer a beloved prince. but the symbol of everything that went wrong. For years, Charles became the most scrutinized, the most criticized figure in the royal family. Whispers turned to judgment. Doubts became headlines. But still, he said nothing. He did not fight back. He did not argue. He simply chose silence and kept walking. Quietly, but steadily. He kept working. He continued to represent the crown at hundreds of international events. He carried on shaping the image of a future king, a man of depth, of culture, of quiet dignity. Amid the noise, amid the pain and misunderstanding, Charles did not seek revenge. He chose devotion. And then came September 8th, 2022. A day like any other, until it wasn't. Suddenly, the United Kingdom fell silent. The world stood still. Queen Elizabeth II, who had reigned for more than 70 years, took her final breath. She passed away peacefully at Balmoral Castle in Scotland. A long chapter in history quietly closed, without fanfare, without trumpets. Only silence, deep and heavy. Across the streets of London, digital billboards turned black and white. Newspapers paused. The flag above Buckingham Palace was lowered to half-mast, and an entire nation, perhaps the world, entered mourning. In that solemn moment, while millions grieved the passing of their queen, a new door quietly opened. On that very same day, Charles became King Charles III, at the age of 74. A moment of destiny. The monarchy had shifted. There were no cheers, no fireworks, no grand celebrations, no roaring crowds. Only a single ancient phrase echoed through history, spoken with weight, not joy. The Queen is dead. Long live the King. A short sentence, yet it carries centuries of tradition, a symbol of continuity, of duty passed from one generation to the next. An era had ended, and a new one had begun. Charles III, a king who ascended the throne at nearly 75 years old. No longer the young prince in a dazzling uniform, no longer the image of a fiery, youthful monarch stepping into glory. He became sovereign with silver in his hair, and eyes that had witnessed decades of change, loss, and quiet hope. Older than any monarch in British history at the time of coronation. A number that seems to contradict what many expect from a new king. Yet perhaps, it is that very number that makes him unique. Because Charles III is not merely a king who took the crown. He is the embodiment of time itself, of patience stretched over the span of a lifetime, of a long, quiet journey, without fanfare, without complaint, without demand. He is a symbol of endurance, of unwavering loyalty to a destiny he was born into. For more than 70 years as Prince of Wales, he never walked away from his role. He did not resent it. He did not reject it. He simply kept learning, kept serving, and kept growing, quietly, steadily. Charles took the throne not in search of glory, but to fulfill one final duty, entrusted to him by both history and fate. There is nothing left for him to prove, and yet so much still left to give. And perhaps that is why he is not just King of the United Kingdom. He stands as a symbol of something far greater, something the modern world often forgets. To never give up, to keep believing, and to never ever lose oneself. And that was today's story. If you found it interesting, feel free to give me a like and share. It really helps me stay motivated to make more videos like this. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any of the upcoming stories. And if there's a celebrity or public figure you'd love to hear a story about, just drop their name in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. See you again in the next story.